Alright, join me today as I show you how to make some 1/48 scale chocolate and caramel apples. So if you are looking for something to add to that incredibly tiny 1/48 scale scene, join me today and see how fun this one can be. Alright, so first thing we are going to do is put our apples onto our sticks. For apples, I'm using both green and red. I'm making both green and red apples. You can do either or both. And I found these little glass beads. They are 11/0 size. I got these at Walmart. They were really inexpensive. And I thought they looked like good apple colors, and they're about the right size for 1/4 inch apples. So they are working pretty well. And then I have a bunch of head pins, and we'll make a few of each color, and then I'll show you two different ways to color on them. For glue, you need something that will work for jewelry glue. You could use super glue. I used some super glue yesterday. I had to run and have my son take my fingers apart with nail polish remover. So I wouldn't recommend that. This is the one I had the best luck with. This is something I'm playing with that I got at the store. It's GS Hypo Cement. The thing I like about this is it comes with this really narrow applicator, so that's really neat. And you also need some kind of foam or something to stick these into once you get your beads glued. So what I like to do is go through and put a bunch of these on the, actually yesterday I had the best luck. Shouldn't have dumped these on my tray, I guess, because yesterday what I was doing, I made a whole bunch yesterday to see if this was going to work and to see which glue worked best. Any glue that is suitable for holding, like this says something about jewelry on the label basically. Anything that will hold metal to glass or plastic if you've got plastic beads. I think these sometimes come in plastic. But I'm just sliding them onto my head pins, and I just have short head pins here. Just buy whatever you've got. Bought the short ones because they were a little cheaper, and I'm going to cut them all the way off. So now I did find that not all of these beads, like there's a couple that won't go on. So those aren't going to work. These beads are not super consistent in size, I've noticed. I may have to get a few more red ones out. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, these beads, some of them seem to have not a good hole in the middle. Let's see, I've got two red. I actually started a project yesterday and I need a few more of each color, so I'm showing you these today. And also make extra, because I've been down on my hands and knees about 3 times this morning collecting ones that flew off of my table while I was working. Let's see if I can be lucky. My package of green beads seem to be consistently better than the red ones this time for some reason. And as I say that, I get one that won't work. Alright. Last one. Now we're just going to put a drop of glue, slide the bead all the way at the end, make sure it's all the way at the end, and stick it in the foam to dry. Now this glue has to dry before we do the next step, but this glue seems to dry pretty quickly. I like that about it. It's as you can see, I'm just going to repeat this process over and over. I tried letting these dry on my table and I ended up gluing them to my table. So, another thing I like about this particular glue is it doesn't stick to fingers. Well, it doesn't stick your fingers together. I mean, it's tacky, but you can pull your fingers back apart, which is really nice when you're working with 1/4 inch scale, because this is pretty small, and I can't anyway work with this scale without getting my fingers all over it. So I'll finish gluing these few left and let them dry, and then we'll see the next step. Now that our glue is dry and our apples are glued to their sticks, we are going to coat them in, well, some in caramel and some in chocolate. And to do that, we are using Scribble's 3D fabric paints. I use butterscotch for caramel, and I use their hot chocolate for chocolate. And I use these a lot. I use them in all scales. Whenever I need something that looks like frosting, or like it's been, you know, dipped up, not only frosting as much as like a glaze or something. So there's some of the caramel. Let's put out some chocolate. I think I like the chocolate the best, but we'll do both. And I find I have the best luck when I use needle nose pliers. And this is really, really simple. You're going to dip one in chocolate. Don't dip it all the way. You want some apple showing so you can see that you've got a green apple. And then I like to touch it to the tile. That flattens that bottom off. Let's do that again. And it helps that you've got that head pin sticking out. That helps to make a nice bottom that looks like an apple that has sat. Let's do a caramel one. See how this caramel works. Okay, and it's obviously the same thing with your red apples. This is really a simple process, and you just have to wait for the paint to dry. And this does need to set up for a while. This paint takes a few hours to get all the way dry. But when these get dry, I will come back and show you how to trim the stems and glue them onto your display. And then your 1/4 inch scale people will have some caramel apples and some chocolate covered apples to enjoy. All right, so our paint is dry. So it's time to glue, well, first to trim our stems. And that can be a little tricky, as I found out earlier. So I found the best way to do this is actually in a container. So I actually have this is like a sour cream container. You can use any plastic container, and to trim them you will need some little wire cutters. I'm using my jewelry wire cutters, and I want to trim so that it's about, let's see if I can show there, about that far from the little apple, not very long. But I put it down into my container and cut and drop it in. That way I've got it kind of controlled. I found this to be a tricky, probably the trickiest part of this whole project earlier, was trying to trim up these apples, because I had a whole bunch to do. And they do bounce. They bounce really, really badly. And they will fly if you're not careful. Okay, so I've got a few cut off. All right, to glue these down, I'm actually going to use my 527 cement. I need something with a little more spreadability, I guess you'd say, than what I used for the beads, to put the beads onto the wires. So I'm just going to dip this into the glue. And I'm putting them on these trays. I'm making trays of chocolate apples, and then when I get these glued down, I'll pause a minute and go and punch out a plate for others that we made. So I forgot to do that. There. So let me go get a piece of paper cut out for a plate. And now we have, where's our camera? Where's the camera again today? Here's that. So let's dip a few of these into the glue. Not sure how many I'll get on this size plate. So probably just a couple. Maybe I'll do 2 caramel apples and 2 chocolate ones on there. Having a little trouble picking that up. There. And we have and one more. And there. So we have our caramel apples and our chocolate apples in 1/48 or 1/4 inch scale. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and till next time, I'll see you later. Bye.